After we get the legs squared up, now we need to mark out where the holes go. We need to mark the arc that is cut at the top of the leg, and we need to mark out the angle that's cut at the bottom of the leg. So what we're going to do is take all four of them and line them up together, and we're going to have the top all flush right here. So if you look at the plans, all of them have the same dimensions from the top where the upper hole is located and the axle hole is located. So we're going to focus on the two center legs here, and I've got them set up just like we're going to have them positioned when we do our final assembly. So I've got an outside leg and I got my two inside legs. Okay, so on the two inside legs, I'm going to mark it at my 5/8 of an inch. Then I'm going to take my square, okay, make sure that all of these are still flush. I'm going to draw a line across all four pieces at my 5/8 of an inch mark from the top. Okay, so that one's in place. Now, our two outside legs, the other hole is actually drilled on the opposite face. So I'm going to take the two outside legs, and I'm going to flip them. I'm going to leave the two inside legs alone so I can still see that top mark. So I'm going to line them all up again, make sure that the top is flush. And now I'm going to mark a line at 8 inches from the top. Use my square and draw that 8-inch mark across all four. Okay, so now our two inside legs, we should be able to see the two marks on the same face. On the two outside legs, they should be opposite faces. One low, one high. Low and high. So now what we need to do is locate the center of each leg, since these are 1.5 inches. If we divide that in two, we're left with 3/4 of an inch. So at the 3/4 of an inch mark, I'm going to mark where the center of each of these holes is. Alright, now that I got them all marked, I'm going to line them all up again, and I'm going to start with the two inside legs. So the two inside legs, I can see my marks. I'm going to flip them so those marks are touching each other. With the two outside legs, I should see marks, the lower mark, my 8-inch mark, on the outside of my assembly. So now what we're going to do is mark out the angle at the bottom. And so when they're sandwiched together, they're a mirror image of each other. We're going to draw this angle from the corner at about 22.5 degrees. Okay, so if I take my square head protractor, I can set that to my 22.5 degrees. Now I can draw an accurate line where that needs to be cut. Okay, so there it is. Now on the other one, it's still got to be a mirror image of it. Since the majority is cut from the bottom edge, the same has to be true with this one. So I know I got to cut off the bottom edge, bottom corner of this one. So that means I'm going to have to switch my square head protractor to 22.5 degrees in the other direction. Then I can draw an accurate line with this one. Okay, so there that one is. So when I look at both of these, now I can see the mirror image of each other. So those two inside legs are all marked out. Now I need to worry about my two outside legs. So again, we should see those 8-inch marks on the outside of our assembly. And since we cut off the bottom corner of these two, Now we're going to cut off the top corner of these. So I need to go about this direction. Use my square head protractor. I'm cutting off this little corner. Same on the opposite. Got to cut off the top corner. So I'll have to switch my square head protractor to the other 22.5 degrees. Okay, so I should have everything marked out now. To double check, I lay them all next to each other. Right now I'm looking at the top mark. I can see the top mark on all four. And I only see the bottom mark on the two inside legs. So now when I look at the bottom, the two inside legs are going to be cut this direction, two outside legs the opposite direction. Now if you're unsure of your layout, come ask your instructor so they can double check it before you do any drilling and cutting. So then we need to mark the very top. The best thing to do is use your circle template. We're going to look for our 1.5 inch diameter, since these are 1.5 inches wide. And now I'm just going to match up the top and the two sides with my end and edges. I'm just going to draw that little half circle at the top. So there's the arc that I need to cut. Now I'll do the same thing with the other three. Okay, now all of them are marked out, ready to cut. So you're going to want to center punch each of these center marks before you start drilling. Then you can cut out the arc at the top with the bandsaw, and you can cut the angle at the bottom with our miter saw at 22.5 degrees. I need to cut a 22.5 degree miter. That's actually one of the notches that's pre-cut for you on this table. So I'm just going to lift up the lever, slide the table over to 22.5. And then since I drew this line, it's real easy for me to line up the blade with the outside of my line. And then I'll cut these 4 miters. Now let's go to the bandsaw and cut this arc on the opposite end. I didn't cut these arcs right to the line. I want to go over to the disc sander now and give myself a nice smooth arc here on the disc sander. Okay, next we need to drill some counter bores, so let's get the drill press ready. When I drill my counter bore through the face of the material, it's going to be slightly different because I'm going to be using a different type of fastener. This time I'm using a machine screw which has a pan-shaped head, so the bottom of it is flat, so I don't want that cone shape that the twist drill bit gives me. Instead I need a nice flat bottom. The way to get that flat bottom is by using a Forstner bit. So I'm going to do the same thing as before by drilling the larger diameter hole first, and then I'll drill my pilot hole. So this time our counter bore has different specifications. Now I have a diameter of 0.25 inches or 1/4 inch all the way through. So the diameter of my pilot hole here is 1/4 inch. Then I have a counter bore with a diameter of 5/8 inch. So it's 5/8 inch diameter here with a depth of 3/8 inch. So right here I should have a depth of 3/8 inch. So let's set that up on the drill press. I have a 5/8 inch Forstner bit already set up in the drill press, so I want to set this to my depth cut. So So I'm going to make a mark on the edge of my material for the depth of the counter bore. I'm going to use that to line up the bottom of the Forstner bit. Once I have that depth set, move your depth stop. And we'll double check it and then lock it in place. After you drill your hole, take a dial caliper and measure the depth of the hole to make sure it's accurate. If it's not, you can always readjust your depth stop and drill it to its right depth. Next we need to finish it off with our pilot hole. We have a 1/4 inch pilot hole, but you don't have to drill a pilot hole at the top of the inside legs. So I got to be careful not to drill all of these holes. Alright, now all of our legs are done.